Hi guys, I'm Jessica Manning, and today I'm going to take you through a short core workout. So this is beginner to intermediate. I just finished 8 client sessions and I'm feeling quite exhausted, but I still want to get a really good core workout. I want to feel like my muscles have been worked, I want to feel energized, and I want to feel like I'm in my body. So join me on this one if you'd like. We're going to start with a short warm-up, and then we're going to do 5 exercises times 2. Okay? Your whole core will be worked. It's going to feel great. Let's start on all fours. So when you set up on all fours, I want you to think about integrating the lat muscle, so the back of the rib here, with your core. Take a big breath in, and then exhale and just pin the belly button up toward the spine. Give yourself a nice little core brace here. So that's just going to strengthen the relationship between the brain and the muscle. Now as you inhale, we're going to arch the lower back. Imagine something is pulling the crown of your head from a string up to the ceiling. And then we're going to exhale and then think about that string now at your navel. Pulling the navel up to the spine and rounding your back, pressing into the heels of the hands into the floor. So inhale, we're pulling at the crown of the head again, really gently mobilizing the spine into an extension. And then exhale, navel leads. So navel pulls up. Exhale, tuck the ribs and the pelvis together. Make sure you're not exerting too much through the jaw. And then inhale. Extend, shoulders away from the ears here. You don't want to scrunch your trapezius muscle up by the neck. And then exhale. One more, rounding the spine, engaging your core. Now find your neutral spine, so just right in the middle. We're going to inhale, open one arm up to the side. Should feel a nice stretch here. Really use the breath so that you don't get jammed in the shoulders. And then exhale, bend your stabilizing elbow to reach down and through. You can lower your head right down if you want. Inhale up, and then exhale, reach through. So now we're just getting a little rotation in the thoracic spine, opening up the chest. Inhale, furthering that brain-body connection with the abs. Inhale up, and exhale through. Okay, and switch sides. We're gonna inhale up, bend the elbow, reach through, rest your head down if you want. Inhale up, exhale through. I'm gonna not lower my head on this one so you can see what that looks like. Inhale up, keeping your pelvis pretty stable here. And just one more. Exhale through. Okay, position yourself onto your back, lying all the way down, feet almost mat width apart. Let's start with the left hand behind the head and right arm extended overhead. Take a big breath in. As you exhale, you're gonna lift opposite leg and reach toward it with opposite arm. Think about pinning your sacrum, back of the pelvis, into the floor. And we're gonna go to 10 here. This is 7, 8, 9, 10. So really nice lengthened contralateral reach. Take a big breath in, and then exhale. Reach opposite hand toward opposite ankle. 3, 4, 5, 6. I like to keep some tension in my hand. Keep the hands expressive. Good. And then we're going to move into single leg stretch. We're going to do this supporting the head. So for anybody who has neck discomfort in core flexion exercises, support the head, feet a little bit above the knees so that it's easier for you to engage your transverse, your deepest layer of core, okay? We don't want the lower back popping up. That's going to indicate that the transverse is not activating. So think before you start about the abs supporting the weight of the feet vis-a-vis gravity. And then exhale, extend one leg forward, kind of like you're pushing on a pedal. If you can think about starting to breathe out before you even start to move the leg, you'll get more of that transverse abdominis. Maybe you'll want to peel the shoulder blades up off the floor a little bit more. Let's do 6 more. 6, 4, 3, 2. Good. And release it down. So a little windshield wiper of the legs. Just loosen up the pelvis. And then we're going to move into bicycle crunches or crisscross. So legs back into that tabletop position, hands back behind the head, singular, hopefully you only have one. We're going to cross opposite elbow to opposite knee. The breathing for this one can get tricky, so I actually don't give people a system. I tell them to breathe repeatedly, however they would like to, because it's a little bit too difficult to stick to a solid system. So just make sure you are breathing. Okay, that sacrum is settled into the floor. Pelvis is pretty stable. And you should feel this. You don't necessarily need to bring your legs right down along the floor. We want to make sure that you're deep. Good, you can stop there. Again, your deep layer of core, so that transverse, which wraps around like a sheath, is well engaged, keeping you from arching. So if your legs come low to the ground and then you're getting your lower back popping up, you might want to bring your feet up a little bit higher. Okay, let's move into the side plank crunch. Option 2, stack or stagger your feet, okay? Usually when people are in bare feet, staggering feels more comfortable so you're not knocking ankles, but up to you, okay? We're gonna use this top hand initially to help you get up. So we're gonna bridge the hips up and then lay this arm flat along your side. We're holding here, so this is an isometric contraction, meaning we're not moving. You're gonna think about, oh, it's a side plank crunch. Okay, we're gonna move. We're gonna inhale, lower the hips down, exhale back up. A side plank is an isometric contraction, and then we're adding a variation. But think about your oblique muscle pulling the weight out of that bottom shoulder. It can be really tempting to use a lot of shoulder. Good, release it down and we'll switch sides. But we don't want to cram up the trapezius again, right? There's always a little bit of a relationship going on between the trapezius and the core. So think about your abs working well so that the trapezius doesn't have to overwork. All right, so we're gonna use this top hand to press up initially. My feet are staggered. Lay this arm flat along your side, and we're gonna inhale, lower down, and exhale back up. So you're lengthening between the rib cage and the pelvis as you lower, and then you're shortening that space on the way up. Good. Okay, lower ab crunch. So I call this one the heel toe crunch. We're gonna set up so that your heel lines up with your toe, like the name. Okay, both knees a little bit bent. Before you start, again, just think about the relationship between your feet and the core. Okay, so the feet are the resistance vis-a-vis gravity that you're using for your abs. Let's do palms faced up at the sides. You're gonna exhale, so start to breathe out first. Abs contract second. Pelvis lifts third. Let's do 10 per leg. Tuck your chin here so that you're not tightening your jaw. And then we'll switch sides. So heel to toe. Take a breath in first. Start to breathe out. And you're kind of rocking that pelvis, so pelvis follows the breath. 6, 7, 9, 10. Good. We're gonna flip over and go into a lower back extension. So extend your legs back, hands under the shoulders, okay? Maybe you'll need a little bit of space here. You can widen them so that you don't feel cramped in the shoulder joint. Feet hip width apart, flat into the ground. Tuck your chin so that the back of the neck stays neutral. Take a big breath in and exhale to curl up. And you're thinking about just shortening the muscles that run along the spine. So those are your erectors. As you come up, think about the shoulders moving down away from the spine. Pelvis is anchored into the floor. No tightness in the jaw or the shoulders. Last one. And then use your abs to push yourself up and back into the shell stretch. Take a few deep breaths here. And then we're gonna repeat one more time. So let's flip over onto the back and we'll start with that diagonal ankle reach. Okay, so left hand behind the head, feet about mat width apart. Right arm overhead, take a big breath in. Exhale, reaching up toward opposite ankle. 2, 3, stabilizing the sacrum, back of the pelvis. Let's see how well I can count and give cues at the same time. My clients get really mad at me when I mess up my numbers. Okay, we're gonna switch sides for obvious reasons. Take a big breath in, exhale, and reach. 2, 3, trying to find steadiness. 4, in the ribs and the pelvis. 5, 6, 8, 9. Good. Okay, we're gonna bring the legs up to tabletop, deep core engaged. Okay. And let's put hands behind the head again. So you're just supporting the head gently so that the front of the neck doesn't have to work too hard. Brace your deep core. Think about the relationship between your neck and your core. And we're gonna exhale to push one leg forward and pull it back in. Remember, if you start breathing out a little bit early, you'll get a really nice brace, securing the pelvis. So the pelvis doesn't move as the load in the legs change. Sometimes it's important to regress in our core work, to be doing it thoroughly, than it is to keep doing harder and harder things and not do them well. You're gonna get better results if you're focusing on having everything engaged well. Okay, we are back to the bicycles. So legs back up to tabletop, hands behind the head. You're gonna kind of nod and curl up, keep the pelvis stable. And let's cross opposite elbow toward opposite knee. You can think about the collarbone reaching toward opposite hip. The elbow does not need to touch the knee. And just breathing however you'd like to. Make sure it's air coming in and out regularly. 3, 2, good. Core is starting to feel alive. Okay, let's go back into the side plank crunch, now that I know what exercises I've programmed for myself today. So we're gonna use the top hand to help you get up into that bridge. Lay this arm flat. Remember, you're shortened here. Inhale, a little length. Exhale, short again. 4, 5 to 10, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Switch sides. You can just flip over at home, but I don't want to be rude and turn my back to you. So bring yourself up, leave this arm flat. Inhale, lengthen, and shorten. 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, 10. Okay, one more for the abs. We're back to that heel toe crunch. Arms at your sides, heel to toe, a slight bend in both knees, but try not to use the legs in this one. Okay, so you're gonna breathe out and rock. The front of the pelvis toward the rib cage. Okay, and then let's switch sides. Five, 6, 7, 9. Good. Okay, let's windshield wiper. The knees again here, just a little internal, external rotation for the hips. So you're moving the femur head around in the hip socket. We want fluid. Just so we can make it all feel good all the way around. All right, let's do your last back extension. So, lying down on your stomach, hands a little bit wider than the shoulders. Soften your shoulders, soften your jaw. Tops of the feet flat into the floor. Take a big breath in, and we're gonna exhale to come up. I like to exhale in my lower back extensions because I'm visualizing the muscle that runs along the spine shortening vis-a-vis gravity. So in most exercises, we exhale when we're moving away from gravity, right? That's the resistance. It also reminds me to settle my shoulders down, and you'll feel a little bit of just activation in the mid-back, like the lower traps, the rhomboids, kind of bra band area, shoulder blades. Good, that is enough for this one. Engage your core, push yourself up. Let's step the knees a little bit wide so you can get right down to the mat, depending on your mobility. And just wiggle your hips around, maybe reach forward a little bit so you can stretch the tissues in the groin and then also in the back that get really tight along your ribs there. And take a few deep breaths. Yep, that was the kind of workout I needed today. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.